The tropics are getting fired up, already lashing the United States, causing catastrophic flooding and significant damage. If this doesn't put South Carolina on high alert, I don't know what will. Let's welcome Lea Crager, Ready Campaign Director for FEMA. Lea, it's good to have you with us.
It's wonderful to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so September is National Preparedness Month, and I think now that we're starting to see a lot of activity in the Atlantic area, coming down towards the Gulf of Mexico, that puts us on high alert. What should be the first steps for people to take action and prepare for the next weather event?
Oh, the first thing you need to do, especially for anyone who lives in the Charleston or surrounding areas, we know how low-lying it is really know your risk. If you're in that low-lying area, are you in an area that's going to flood? Could you get storm surge? And then once you kind of know your risks or, what your home's capable of withstanding, that's when you start making a plan with your family. Like, will you be under an evacuation order ever? How would you evacuate? Where would you go? So you kind of make that plan based on where you live. And then, you engage your support networks and the people around you to make sure everyone in your family or your friends, your neighbors, that you're all kind of on the same page, or people, know what to do or know how to contact you. So it's just really a lot of simple conversations to have.
Yeah. And what about evacuation routes? I think a lot of people don't even realize. We see the signs as we drive up and down the highways, but we don't necessarily know where we need to go in the event that we're going to have to utilize them. Is there a lot of community effort surrounding everybody who lives there to guide everybody in the right path so that you don't make the wrong choice and go down the wrong street, so to speak?
Well, that's very important, because earlier this year, the governor did a news conference in Charleston announcing the new evacuation zones and routes kind of for the state. So now is really the time for people, even if you've lived there a few years and you're like, oh, I know what to do, things may have changed. So it's really kind of where you can go to South Carolina Emergency Management. They've got, flyers and information for you to be able to know where you do live or what your zone is, or even your local emergency management officer. So it's a perfect time now with a new year and some new things being released to make sure you and your family are on top of that and you understand what the new areas mean.
Yeah, and it's not just make a plan, but to stay informed, and that would be one significant piece of it. Now, getting an emergency kit together, what is something that everyone should pack in an emergency kit to be able to just grab and run?
Well, and I love to tell people you don't have to go out and buy a pre-made packet. You don't have to go spend a lot of money. It's really just a lot of essentials. If you have kids, pack some board games or something to keep them occupied. If you're on prescription medication, and a lot of people now have pets on prescription medication, make sure that's packed as well. A first aid kit, change of clothes. Keep it very simple. Make sure you're able to grab a few things that are really key to you and your family, and you can leave. And if there's, a sealed container of important documents, if you want to take that with you, or just make sure things are loaded to the cloud so you don't have to worry about being weighed down with finding different paperwork.
Yes, exactly. And also I hear making sure that all of your important documentation is kept on a drive that you can take with you, something that's portable, something that you can't lose the information should you need it. You also say to get involved. Now, what does that mean exactly?
Well, that's exactly where it comes into play of like getting with your community, getting with your neighbors, getting to know those people. One simple thing we do is, if you live in a condominium or a small neighborhood, and if you have an HOA, have a text chain with some of your neighbors, just so you're able to check on each other and do things like that. It's really just getting involved. You can do a community emergency response team. You can take a CPR class from the Red Cross. It's simple things we kind of know about, but it's not until we really put a plan in place. Be like, oh, no one in our family has taken a CPR class, or it's been over 20 years. Like, how hard would it be to go online and sign up for a class, and do a few little things, especially if you have kids.
Yeah, absolutely. And Lea, you say that being prepared is so critical, yet there is a certain demographic that's a bit troubling within our country, that people realize, or they decide for themselves, that it is not critical to be prepared, that it really doesn't make an impact. And what are those numbers, and which demographics are the ones that you're speaking of?
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of different demographics, especially now that our population is changing so much. This year, we are doing a campaign kind of focused on Asian Americans, Native Pacific Islanders. And if you look, in the last 20 years, their population in the United States has grown by more than 80%. So you're looking at a population that's almost doubled, especially in an area like Charleston that sees booming growth. You have people move to an area who really have no clue what a hurricane is, or what flash flooding is, or what kind of events or disasters could occur, because they're just new to the area. So that's one thing we're really finding, and with these campaigns being targeted to people to make sure they know, where are you living, what resources are around you or available, what could happen to you. So it's really important, especially for people new to an area.
Absolutely. Lea Crager with FEMA, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We're back in 2 minutes.